Today's topic, Getting Honest, Part 2. My name is Ted Burnett. This is Thursday, June 26, 2014. I'm standing on the bluffs of Mobile Bay in Fairhope, Alabama. Today's talk is part 2 of a part 3 series on getting honest. Having gotten sober and had a spiritual awakening at the age of 18, I became curious in learning more about myself and understanding Ted and what happened to Ted growing up. At home, I had access to a library of talks on tape and videos to watch on the subjects like alcoholism, addiction, codependency, and family systems. My mother was and still is a licensed professional counselor, and in her personal life, she found the need to put together this collection. Early on, I was exposed to the works of speaker Father Joseph Martin and his famous chalk talks on alcoholism and AA. Melody Beattie, her best-selling book, Codependency No More, and John Bradshaw, best-selling author and speaker, on his award-winning video series titled Bradshaw on the Family, which aired on PBS in the 1980s. Their works only fed my curiosity all the more. What began as a desire to better understand myself and heal from my wounds has turned into a 25-year hobby and maybe an obsession to see the big picture as it relates to our society and down to families and down to the individual. However, not everyone in my life has shared my enthusiasm for reflecting on one's life. I don't think my girlfriend, who later became my wife, had any interest in understanding herself or in developing a spiritual life. At the time, that proved disappointing, and it certainly had an impact on her development as a person and our relationship when we went through some very tough times together. Her father, a Yale grad, a physician, and his socialite wife living in Virginia had absolutely no interest in delving into the dark and murky waters of their past. They chose to stay down at the shallow end of the pool and keep their talk ever so polite, well, in your face. My quest for understanding my life and my openness quickly became a threat to their secretive one. Having practically grown up in AA, I gained unprecedented insight into the inner workings of some of the most prominent families in my Catholic community and other prominent families in my hometown of Mobile, where one's last name carried a lot of weight and still does. Getting the inside scoop on a particular family often helped to demystify them, to see them in a more true light, to be less impressed with their luxurious lifestyle, and in some cases to be empathetic with their situation. By the time I met my future in-laws, I wasn't particularly enamored with his Ivy League education or his occupation as a doctor, only with their daughter. In more recent years, I've been introduced to the works of Father Anthony de Mello, a Jesuit priest from India, an American-trained psychotherapist. He is the author of Awareness, Song of the Bird, and many other books dealing with spirituality. And there are a plethora of videos on YouTube where he's giving talks that come out of many of these same books. Former priest Matthew Fox, I came across his book, Original Blessing, which is a counter to original sin. And I liked the thought, and I liked what he had to say. I'd recommend it. And finally, Franciscan monk Father Richard Rohr. I read one of his essays comparing AA and the 12 steps to church. It was very, very interesting and confirmed my own experience. All have continued to shape my understanding of myself and of humanity. If I can lay claim to any theory or reality, it's that we're all born with integrity, dignity, and sanity in the hospital's delivery room. However, upon coming home to our dysfunctional families, we slowly and very painfully give up our integrity, which is defined as the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles, moral uprightness. The state of being whole and undivided is to not be compromised. Our dignity, having self-esteem and self-worth, and not self-hate. And finally, sanity, to be healthy, to be balanced, facing our problems, living in reality. In order to survive in this hostile and threatening home, we gave up these three attributes. As infants and children, we were forced to accept our family's chosen religion without our consent, which required us to give up the God that we came to know while in our mother's womb, who resides within us. We gave up our spirituality for man's organized religion. This was the beginning of our insanity. School measured us by our attendance, our conduct, and our performance. All this was artificial, never organic, including all the deadlines and assignments and homework and tests. It does not reflect how each one of us learns naturally. Instead, we learn to look at our teachers and coaches for approval for the next 12 years. We stop looking within ourselves for the answers to our problems, for direction, and for personal satisfaction. Wasting our time with busy work was built into the curriculum. This institution became about us embracing its values, not our own. Putting top students on a pedestal glorified its own powers while ignoring those at the bottom. It showed no respect. Passing tests were more important than helping students develop their own personal talents that could serve them well in everyday life. School didn't parallel reality. It was escape from reality. For those who excelled at school, it served as a great escape, and for those who struggled in school, it proved damaging to one's psyche. One believed they were going to conquer the world, while the others came to fear the real world. Along the way, in our development. We learned that it was important what others thought of us, including our family, friends, their parents, our teachers and preachers. We stopped caring about what we thought of ourselves, and we started living for the drug known as society's approval. We started sacrificing our own integrity to be liked, to belong, to survive. My original work of integrity, dignity, and sanity is a spiritual concept that all life is born with integrity. From our integrity, we get our dignity, our self-respect, self-worth. And with our dignity, we derive our sanity, health to know reality, to see the truth in things. When we lose our belief in our own concept of God, when we stop listening to our instincts, we become lost. Instead of having or living on faith, having courage and strength, and telling the truth, we begin to live by our ego. Now aware of the world's concerns, we live and die to its daily obsessions. We lose our authenticity, our autonomy, our freedom, and our happiness to be part of the masses, to join in on the conversation, and to say something that sounds important, that sounds smart, but it's no longer honest. Our capacity for depth, for learning from others is lost. Wisdom never develops. We remain fools until our death, until we experience a spiritual bankruptcy and rebirth. This is the end of today's talk on getting honest, the benefits and liabilities, part 2. And I will post part 3 as soon as it's produced. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to my talk. I hope you find it helpful. And if you have any questions, please contact me. My email address is tebjr1@yahoo.com. And again, that's my initials, tebjr1@yahoo.com. My website is tedburnett.com. Thank you for listening. Have a good day.